Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
A younger man recently commented on one of my YouTube videos about marriage, saying that all the women of his generation are cooked. In other words, he's saying that they are worthless for marriage. It's like this generation of younger men act like my generation of men had an overabundance of virtuous women. My young brothers, we didn't. But the difference is we didn't allow 20 immature women to stop us from finding the right one. We refused to be denied of what we desired and deserved. So stop allowing yourself to be discipled by emotionally unintelligent and wounded men on social media who are stuck in perpetual adolescence. At some point, my young brothers, if all you're meeting is dysfunction, you gotta go introspective and look in the mirror. You don't, my brothers, you don't need every woman to be prepared for marriage. You just need the right one. And maybe you haven't found her because you haven't become the man she's praying for.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Before we get into today's topic, I want to be absolutely clear. This is not a diss video. I repeat, this is not a diss video. We have the utmost respect for Mr. Jason Wilson. He's in the trenches doing real work, building character in young men, teaching discipline, emotional stability, even jujitsu. He's a husband, a father, a man of faith, and a role model to many. Salute to that. But in this particular clip, he's teaching SIMPJUTSU. Now, hear me out. This isn't about his heart or his character. It's about the message. And just like how Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, meant well when he promoted marriage as a solution, we still have to call it what it is. In modern Western society, marriage is a losing game for men, period. Let's break down the core points Mr. Wilson makes and respectfully explain why they don't hold up in today's dating market. Shout out to Mr. Lucid Experience for requesting this topic. Salute! You already know we're not dodging the uncomfortable conversation. Let's get into it.
It's like this generation of younger men act like my generation of men had an overabundance of virtuous women. My young brothers, we didn't. But the difference is we didn't allow 20 immature women to stop us from finding the right one. We refused to be denied of what we desired and deserved.
It's not logic!
Mr. Wilson, you came up in the late 80s. There were no dating apps, no Instagram thirst traps, no OnlyFans. Hookup culture wasn't mainstream. Promiscuity wasn't celebrated. Family sitcoms dominated primetime TV, not Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. The average woman got married at 23. Now it's 28 and climbing. The game has completely changed. So respectfully, you didn't face what young men face today.
So stop allowing yourself to be discipled by emotionally unintelligent and wounded men on social media who are stuck in perpetual adolescence.
Let's be real. Every movement has its clowns, but not every brother online is wounded or unintelligent. A lot of these men are simply calling out the realities that the mainstream, and sometimes even elders like yourself, won't touch. And to be fair, the wise elders failed to warn this generation about the dangers of modern dating. So now we've got a generation of men who had to figure it out the hard way, and they're finally speaking up.
Dating is dead in America. The more I stay overseas, the more I keep on encountering other Americans that's coming to Kenya, South Africa, and it seems like one of their number one complaints about America is their dating life. Like, just recently, I ran into a couple of gentlemen who will remain unnamed, but they came to me as like, damn, Kenya's amazing. I'm visible here. In America, I'm invisible. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're invisible? Like I haven't been on a date in like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And I'm just thinking about that. Like, at first, it didn't really cross my mind because like I didn't put all the pieces together, but I'm like, damn, I just ran into like 15, 20 plus gentlemen who haven't been on a date in like 5 years. Like, could you imagine not being on a date, not having like intimacy in like 5 years? That's like absurd.
At some point, my young brothers, if all you're meeting is dysfunction, you gotta go introspective and look in the mirror. You don't, my brothers, you don't need every woman to be prepared for marriage. You just need the right one.
And what if the right one no longer exists in your local dating pool? What if most women have been ran sprinted through by Chad and in their 20s and only start looking for love when the wall is in sight? That's not cynicism, that's data.
Why is it that 66% of young men between the ages of 18 and 29 are currently single, but only 34% of young women in the same age bracket are single? Pew Research Center put out this very interesting piece of research recently that talked about the historic rise in unpartnered Americans. And what they found was interesting, and it sort of left them with a lot of question marks, but some proposed answers as to why this is happening. But one of the things that was very fascinating is that young men are twice as likely to be single than young women, right? 66% of young men are single and not dating and unpartnered, but only 34% of young women are single and not partnered. So what's happening? Where's the discrepancy going? The reality in what they've started to find is that young women are just dating older, right? They're just dating men that are in their early 30s, that maybe are more financially stable or more mature. Maybe they're more stable in their career, right? They've finished their degrees. They've started paying off their student loans. They've got, a mortgage or, a car or whatever the case is. And to a lot of women, that is very appealing and attractive, right? A lot of the studies have shown that on average, women still want men who are making as much of them, if not more. And the emphasis there is on the if not more. The average woman in the dating market today, between ages 18 and 29 or above, are still wanting men who are able to acquire more resources than them, who are able to out-earn them. So the challenge that I think has happened is that, we can talk about social media and dating apps and all those things, but one of the biggest discrepancies that I think has started to emerge is that as women have become more and more financially independent, their mate or selection preferences haven't adapted or changed along with that financial independence. So the reality is that, women, even though they don't need a man, they don't need a man to pay for anything, there's still, in many cases, this underlying expectation or this underlying desire to have a man who out-earns them.
And maybe you haven't found her because you haven't become the man she's praying for.
Respectfully, this puts all the accountability on men and none on modern women. So let me flip it. Maybe she hasn't become the woman he's praying for. And keyword, praying. In traditional times, that actually meant something. A woman praying for a husband had spiritual discipline, faith-based values, and a community that held her accountable. But today, let's be real. Religion is not holding up in modern society. It's more vibes and crystals than scripture and character. Church attendance is down, hookup culture is up, and most women praying today are really just manifesting a man after living recklessly through their 20s. So no, she's not praying for a man. She's praying for a clean slate without doing the work to be worthy of one. And that's the truth they don't want to hear. So where does that leave us? It's simple. If you're looking for traditional values, you have to go to traditional environments. And in 2025, that probably means getting your passport and taking your talents overseas, to places where family, faith, and femininity are still alive. Western dating is a minefield, and while we salute Mr. Wilson for standing in the gap and uplifting young men on this topic, he's off.
Management, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.